أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ayah number 145. قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ فِي مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ مُحَرَّمًا. Say, I do not find within that which was revealed to me anything forbidden. To who? عَلَى طَاعِمٍ. On one who eats. طَاعِم is from the root letters طَا, عَين, ميم. طَعَام. طَعَام means food. And it includes both solids as well as liquids. So a person who eats, the only food that is forbidden to him is such and such. And everything else is permissible. How do I know? From مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ. From what has been revealed to me. And remember, مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ, what was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, yes, includes the Qur'an, but it also includes wahi غَيْر مَتْلُوب. Because there are some things whose prohibition we find in the Qur'an, and there are other things whose prohibition we find in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ as well. So yes, we have to look at the Qur'an, but we also have to look at the Sunnah. And remember, the Prophet ﷺ by his own will, he never made something halal and he never made something haram by his own will. Whatever he did make haram or halal, it was based on the teachings that he was given. And if there was something else, then the Prophet ﷺ was told right away. He was corrected right away. That when he made honey unlawful on himself, what was he told? لِمَ تُحَرِّمُ مَا أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَكَ. So قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ فِي مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ مُحَرَّمًا عَلَى طَاعِمٍ يَطْعَمُهُ إِلَّا except أَن يَكُونَ مَيْتًا. Except that animal would be mayta. The mayta animal, that is forbidden. And what does mayta include? That animal which has not been slaughtered correctly, or which dies a natural death, which dies because of an accident. أو or daman masfuhan, blood that is flowing. Earlier we have read that blood is haram. Here we learn that a specific type of blood is haram. Which one? Masfuh. Masfuh is from the root letter sin, faha. We have done the word musafihin earlier. Sifah, safaha, which literally means to shed, to spill, to pour out some liquid. So masfuh is one that is shed, one that is spilled. So blood that is made to flow, that is made to spill, that blood is forbidden. And on the other hand, blood that is congealed or blood that is clotted, blood that is found under the flesh, or you find it emerging out of the meat as you're cooking, that is permissible. أو دما مسفوحا, only flowing blood is forbidden. أو or لحم خنزير, the flesh of swine, that is also forbidden. Why? Because فإنه رجس. All of this is rijs. This is why it is forbidden. What does rijs mean? That which is filthy, that which is dirty, that which is considered as repulsive by the aql, by the intellect, by one's senses, as well as by the sharia. That something is found repulsive, meaning is forbidden in the sharia. Similarly, a sound mind would not accept it. It considers it to be filthy. If you smell it, it doesn't smell good. If you taste it, it doesn't taste good either. Decaying, rotting, unhealthy, filthy. This is what rijs is. So فَإِنَّهُ rijs, so it is rijs. This is why it is not permissible. What does it mean by rijs in the context? It is said that it means haram. Others say because it is qadr, meaning it is physically dirty. It's physically impure. The flesh of swine, dead animal, flowing blood, it is physically impure. Thirdly, it is said because it is abhorrent, it is repulsive by nature. I mean, blood, people can't even see it. If they see flowing blood, people start crying. Some people faint. I remember as children, we had to go and see the animals being slaughtered. And I remember I used to run to the washroom and just hide myself there. I couldn't watch the animal being slaughtered. I was just too afraid of seeing the blood flowing out. So it's naturally repulsive. Similarly, a dead animal that's decaying and animals have eaten of it and it's rotting, it's filthy. Physically filthy, and naturally it is abhorrent. It is repulsive. or fisqan. It is a sin. Meaning, eating it is sinful. Eating it is an act of disobedience. This is why it is forbidden. First of all, because it's filthy. It's naturally repulsive. And secondly, because eating it is a sin. أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ. It was invoked for other than Allah. Meaning, or that meat of the animal which was slaughtered for other than Allah. What does uhilla mean? It's from ihlal, ha lam lam, which means raf'u sawt. So that animal on whom the name of other than Allah was pronounced. Or no one's name was mentioned at the time of slaughtering. That animal is also forbidden. فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ. Then whoever was forced, whoever was compelled. اضْطُرَّ, ضاد, را, را. Meaning, if a person is forced by extreme hunger, by the situation that if he does not eat of the haram, then he will die. So فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ. And he eats of the haram with two conditions. What are they? First of all, غَيْرَ بَاغٍ. Baghin from the root letters baghin, yeah? Baghi. What does baghi mean? Rebellion. And baghi literally means to desire. Because generally what happens when people desire something, when people really want something, they rebel in order to get a hold of it. So غَيْرَ بَاغٍ, meaning he is not eating it out of rebellion. Out of rebellion against Allah's rules. Or out of desiring. That he should have no desire in his heart for the haram that he's being forced to eat. If he eats in that state, it is okay for him. But if he eats with desire, that finally I get to eat this. All my life I've wondered what it's like. This desire in the heart, that's what makes it a problem. وَلَا عَادٍ. What's the second condition? That a person should not eat it out of adwan. Adin has been translated as one habitually, because adin is from the root letters ayn, dal, waw. Ayn, dal, waw. If it was from the root letters ayn, waw, dal, then it would be habitually, but it's not ayn, waw, dal. Because the alif over here is not waw. What is it? Afa'il, baghi, adi, ra'i. You understand? The alif over here is not of the root. It's of the structure. So, adin is actually adiw. The word is actually adiw. But because the waw comes at the end, it's harf illa, difficult to pronounce, just make it simply into adin. Just as the word ra'i. What do we learn? Kullukum ra'in. It turns into ra'in. Similarly, adin. And who is adin? One who is aggressive. One who is disobedient. Correct translation is one who is transgressing. Meaning, he does not eat more than what is necessary. More than what is necessary. If he can survive on 3 or 4 morsels, he should limit himself to that only. But if he says, oh, I'm in this situation, I have to eat haram, might as well try this and might as well try that and might as well try another thing, that is adin. So he eats with these two conditions. فَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Then your Lord is forgiving and merciful. What do we learn from this ayah? First of all, we learn that when it comes to the matters of halal and haram, wahi is the only source. Because what do we learn? لَا أَجِدُ فِي مَا أُوحِيَ إِلَيَّ. The only thing that I find forbidden in wahi. You understand? So the source of halal and haram is what? Wahi. It's not opinions, it's not statements, it's not innovations. Because the mushrikeen of Makkah, they had innovated many things. And the Prophet ﷺ is commanded over here to tell people that even I base everything on what? On wahi. My source of knowledge is the Qur'an. So when somebody asks you, what's your evidence this is halal, or what's your evidence that is haram? What's your source of knowledge? The Qur'an. Even the Prophet ﷺ, his source of knowledge is what? The Qur'an. Secondly, we also learn from this ayat about the fact that everything is permissible unless stated otherwise. Generally, everything that is edible, that can be eaten by people, is permissible. except if it is stated as otherwise. Meaning, except if it is said that this particular food is haram. When it comes to eating, everything is permissible except stated otherwise. Thirdly, we learn from this ayah about the prohibition of eating the vermin of the earth, such as snakes or scorpions or beetles, cockroaches, rats. Because if you say that everything is permissible unless stated otherwise, then that means only these few animals that are mentioned over here are forbidden, right? But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? فَإِنَّهُ رِجْسٌ. What does that show? That any other creature, any other thing that is rijs, that is also forbidden. So for example, rats and snakes and bugs and beetles, what are they? They are also rijs. Now a person might say, in some cultures they are considered naturally repulsive, and in other cultures they're not considered naturally repulsive. Isn't it so? It varies from culture to culture. Then what's the limit? Then there would be no limit. Correct? Some people consider snakes to be okay, there's no problem. Some people consider everything to be okay, there's no problem. It varies from culture to culture. What do we have to look at? We have to see what the Arabs find repulsive. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ, he said, there's a hadith that is narrated in Bukhari and Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ said there are 5 animals, all of which are evil, and they should be killed in the haram even. What are they? Crows, kites, it's a kind of a bird, scorpion, rats, and vicious dogs. Now for some people, vicious dogs are not evil, aren't they? For some people, rats are not evil, they will keep them as pets. Similarly, scorpions are not evil, they will keep them as pets. Isn't it? So yes, it varies from culture to culture, but we have to see what the Arabs found repulsive. Because otherwise there would be no limit. And rats, we see clearly, it's mentioned, they should be killed. Similarly, we learn from another hadith. It was narrated by Shuraik. This is recorded in Bukhari and Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ commanded the killing of lizards. He commanded the killing of lizards. So what does it mean? It was something that was naturally repulsive, considered as rijs. Therefore, obviously, they would not eat them. Elsewhere in the Quran as well, in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah 157, we learn, وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. The impure things, the Prophet ﷺ forbade them. So what is the standard of impure? What the Arabs considered impure. So for instance, if there is a particular bug, for instance a locust, that they didn't find repulsive, they ate it. A particular lizard or a particular animal, if they didn't find it repulsive, we are allowed to eat them. But otherwise, whatever they found repulsive, we're not allowed to consume them, because that is what is given to us as criteria. Then we also learn from this hadith that a person has to see, yes, what the Quran declares to be halal and haram, but also what the Prophet ﷺ declared to be halal and haram. Because everything that is halal and everything that is haram is not explicitly mentioned in the Quran. We find evidences from the Sunnah as well. For instance, the Prophet ﷺ said, Ibn Abbas reported that the Prophet ﷺ prohibited the eating of all fanged beasts of prey. So all those animals which have fangs, they are forbidden. And all birds that have talons, even they are forbidden. Birds that hunt, hunting birds, hunting animals, they're all forbidden. So we have to see what the Quran says and also what the Sunnah says. Both of them complete what is halal and what is haram. Now, some people when they read this ayah, they say, look, it is only these things that are forbidden. If you look at it, only a few are mentioned, isn't it? The whole list is not mentioned over here. And the ayah begins with, قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ. The only things I find as haram are such and such, which means everything is permissible. But remember, this is not the only ayah of the Quran. And remember, this is a Makki surah. And remember, this is being mentioned in a specific context. What is the context? That the mushrikeen, they had made certain things haram on themselves. So the Prophet ﷺ is being made to say that no, they're not haram. The only haram foods are these. So in that context, when it comes to animals of grazing, livestock, then these animals are forbidden. So we have to look at other ayat of the Quran as well. Surah Al-Ma'idah was revealed later. So whatever we find as halal in that surah is halal. Whatever we find as haram, that is haram. وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ هَادُوا, and to those people who were Jews, حَرَّمْنَا كُلَّ ذِي ظُفْرٍ, we prohibited every animal. Which animal? Which is ذِي ظُفْر, of uncloven hoof. The Jews, the people of the book, we learned earlier about them, that كُلُّ الطَّعَامِ كَانَ حِلًّا لِبَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. All foods were permissible for Bani Israel. Everything. إِلَّا except, what? مَا حَرَّمَ إِسْرَائِيلُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ. What Yaqub a.s. had made unlawful on himself. So everything was permissible for them at the beginning. And later on, things were made prohibited upon them. Why were foods made haram upon them? Because of their own wrongdoing. Because of their own wrongdoing. So over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about what food was it that was made haram on them. So وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ هَادُوا حَرَّمْنَا كُلَّ ذِي ظُفْرٍ. Every animal of uncloven hoof was forbidden upon them. The word ظفر is used for nails. Which nails? Through which a creature cannot hunt. And mikhlab, on the other hand, is used for those nails with which hunting may be done. So for example, claws. What are they? Mikhlab. But ظفر are nails, fingernails. So for example, what human beings have, unless if they really grow them, and they use them for scratching other people, that is incorrect. What's the sunnah? Or what's the etiquette that we have been taught? What is an act of fitrah? Trimming the nails, cutting the nails. And if a person grows them, that's resembling who? Animals which have claws. And they need those claws to hunt. So human beings, they don't need long nails. And it's an act of fitrah to cut nails, to trim nails. What do we learn? That at Hajj, after the ihram, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? That they should then remove their uncleanliness. And of the part of uncleanliness is that they should trim their nails. So if a person grows their nails, what is that? Unclean. It's keeping filth with you. So ظفر are nails. And ذي ظفر is every animal that does not have divided toes. That does not have divided toes. Does not have separate nails. Whose hoof is uncloven. The hoof is uncloven. It does not have divided toes. If you've ever looked carefully at a goat or a sheep, if you go to a halal meat, I'm sure you'll find some, the feet, you will see that they're cloven. There's like two parts. Next time you go and look carefully. And looking, even that is an act of ibadah. Why? Because you're learning about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you. If you don't know, find out, research. So you will see that these animals, they have hooves that are cloven. But there are other animals whose hooves are not cloven. It's like just one big foot. Which ones are they? Camels. Similarly, ostriches. Even, for instance, ducks. They have webbed feet. They're connected. They're not separate fingers. So all such animals that do not have divided toes, they were forbidden on them. وَمِنَ الْبَقَرِ وَالْغَنَمِ, and of the cows and the goats. حَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ, we had made forbidden upon them. The word ghanam has been used over here for goats. Earlier we read the word ma'z. What's the difference? It is said that when there are only 2 or more goats, then you use the word ma'z. But when there's a herd, then you use the word ghanam. So وَمِنَ الْبَقَرِ وَالْغَنَمِ, of the cows and the goats, حَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ, we prohibited upon them شُحُومَهُمَا, fat of the two. Shuhum is a plural of shahm. And what is shahm? Fat, grease. So the fat of these animals, of who? The cows and the goats, that was forbidden on these people, on the Jews. Illa except, meaning except for that fat, that which حَمَلَتْ ظُهُورُهُمَا, which was on the backs, which their backs carried. Meaning what was joined to the back of the animal, the spine. So the fat over there, that was permissible. Because if you look at it, it's what connects the bones together. And that bone is the main thing in the spine that you're going to use. Soup bones. Because they have a lot of fat in them, and there's bone, and there's less meat, so you would use it for soup and stuff. So إِلَّا مَا حَمْلَتْ ظُهُورُهُمَا أَوِ الْحَوَايَا. Hawaya is a plural of hawiyya. Hawiyya. Ha, waw, ya with a shadda, and a ta marbuta atin. And hawiya is used for small intestines. They are permissible for us to eat, of the animals. So, إِلَّا مَا حَمَلَتْ ظُهُورُهُمَا أَوِ الْحَوَايَا, meaning only that fat was permissible, which was attached to the back, or which was attached to the small intestine. Or مَا اخْتَلَطَ بِعَظْمٍ, that which was mixed with the bone. اختلط from خا لام طا. What does khalt mean? To mix, to blend. So the fat which was joined with the bone, that was permissible. But otherwise, all the fat was haram. Why? ذَلِكَ, that. And you might be wondering, oh, it's only fat, what's the big deal? But just think of it, if it's attached to every part of the animal. Just imagine how difficult it must be to separate. And we find a little piece of fat even. How difficult it would be. You know, every time you get your meat, you have to clean it up, you have to remove the fat. You do it because you don't like it. But in some cultures, actually, they like the fat. Literally, they like the fat. And it's very difficult to remove it. Especially some animals are very fatty. They have a lot of fat in them. So to remove the fat, it's a very big headache. And now this was a form of punishment for them. Allah says, ذَلِكَ جَزَيْنَاهُمْ بِبَغْيِهِمْ, that we recompense them because of their rebellion. وَإِنَّا لَصَادِقُونَ, and indeed we are truthful. In what? In informing that such and such was forbidden upon them. Because they might say something different, but what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us is what is correct. What do we learn from this ayah? First of all, we learn that the Bani Israel were punished with the prohibition of tayyib food. Why? For the crimes that they had been committing. So if a person makes something halal, haram on himself, who is he trying to be? Or who is he resembling? Someone who has been punished by Allah. Allah has made certain foods halal for you. If you make it haram on yourself, you are trying to be like the one who has been punished by Allah. And there's nothing cool in that. Because unfortunately some people think it's very cool to be like those who are shouted at, those who are yelled at, those who are kept in jails. If you look at it, for instance, people who wear very baggy pants and their pants are falling all the time, who are they resembling? People who were kept in jail and they were not allowed to wear belts. Because they were not allowed to wear belts, that's why their pants would fall. And when our children, when they don't wear belts, trying to act cool, that our pants are falling, and sometimes it's so difficult for them to walk, literally you just want to help them pull their pants up, or tell them your pants are falling, excuse me. Now, this is trying to resemble who? Someone who has been punished. What's so cool about it? Or someone who gets a detention, or we want to be those who are given detention as well. What's so cool in that? There's nothing cool in that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us over here, if you're making halal haram on yourself, you're trying to be like someone who has been punished by Allah. We learn in Surah Al-Nisa, ayah 160, فَبِظُلْمٍ مِّنَ الَّذِينَ هَادُوا حَرَّمْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ طَيِّبَاتٍ أُحِلَّتْ لَهُمْ وَبِصَدِّهِمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ كَثِيرًا. For wrongdoing on the part of the Jews, we made unlawful for them certain good foods which had been made lawful to them. And for their averting from the way of Allah, many people. So because of their crimes, halal food was made haram on them. Now the question is, how was it made haram on them? How? How was it made haram on them? Through the messengers, okay, through the prophets, and also through their scholars who misinterpreted the scripture. We learned earlier that the Jews and the Christians, they had taken their scholars and their rabbis as lords. And how did the Prophet ﷺ explain that? That بَلَا إِنَّهُمْ أَحَلُّوا لَهُمُ الْحَرَامَ وَحَرَّمُوا عَلَيْهِمُ الْحَلَالَ فَاتَّبَعُوهُمْ فَذَلِكَ عِبَادَتُهُمْ إِيَّاهُ. That their scholars, they made halal haram on them and haram halal on them. And they followed them in that. So someone who is in a position of authority and he is declaring something halal to be haram and haram to be halal, that is a form of punishment. That is a form of punishment. These days we complain a lot about people who are coming up and saying this is halal and that is haram, and without any evidence. Making everything halal or making everything haram without any evidence. This is also a form of punishment. Remember we learned earlier, وَكَذَلِكَ نُوَلِّي بَعْضَ الظَّالِمِينَ بَعْضًا. So yes, it refers to zalim leaders. Also, such people who have gained knowledge or apparently gained knowledge, but they're misinterpreting the scripture. We also learn from this ayat that zulm is a cause of deprivation of rizq. When a person does zulm, he is deprived of rizq. We also learn that it is a part of taqwa to check what you're eating, to see what is halal and what is not halal. Surah Al-Anam is a Makki surah. And at the beginning, Tawheed and the hereafter are emphasized. And then, halal and haram. So how can you separate this issue from your life? Because you see, Tawheed, the hereafter is emphasized. And then the issue of halal and haram comes. It's being mentioned with so much emphasis. That this is halal, this is not halal, this is haram. It's being mentioned again. You may wonder, we just learned about this in Surah Al-Ma'idah. Why is it coming again? And yes, the mushrikeen used to do it. But the fact is that this is a major part of your life. It's a part of taqwa. It's a part of iman. That a person checks what is halal and he sticks to it. And he checks what is haram and he sticks to that. He doesn't use opinions of people and misinterpretations of people to fulfill his desires. فَإِن كَذَّبُوكَ, then if they deny you, فَقُلْ رَبُّكُمْ ذُو رَحْمَةٍ وَاسِعَةٍ, then say, O Prophet ﷺ, that your Lord is the possessor of vast mercy. Meaning, if they deny you concerning what you have brought to them. Who does they refer to? The people of Mecca. Now all of this is mentioned, this is halal, this is haram. But still if these people deny you, despite the fact that you've explained to them based on wahi, based on logic, still if they deny you, then tell them, your Lord is dhu rahmatin, He's a possessor of mercy, and His mercy is wasi', very vast. That He does not bring punishment on you immediately. And it's an expression of His kindness, of His mercy, that He does not punish you immediately. And that He is inviting you to iman, and that He is clarifying what is halal and what is haram. وَلَا يُرَدُّ بَأْسُهُ, and His punishment is not averted عَنِ الْقَوْمِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ, from the people who are criminals. Meaning those people who are criminals, they will definitely be punished. So if in this dunya right now, because of their takzeeb, they're not being punished, don't be fooled by it. Don't be deceived by it. Punishment will definitely come. So this is like a warning and a threat to those who deny the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a threat. That despite the fact that it's so clear, still if you deny, yes, your Lord is very merciful, which is why He is not punishing you immediately. But sooner or later, you will see the consequences. سَيَقُولَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا, soon the mushrikeen will say, what? That لَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ, if Allah willed, مَا أَشْرَكْنَا, we would never have done shirk. وَلَا أَبَاؤُنَا, nor our forefathers, meaning even they would never have done shirk. وَلَا حَرَّمْنَا مِنْ شَيْءٍ, and we would have not made anything haram. So in other words, they're saying that if we did this, it's because Allah wanted us to. And it's not possible that the entire nation, the entire people, the entire city is involved in doing something and you're saying it's wrong? No. If everybody is involved in it, that means Allah likes it. That means Allah wants it. Therefore, don't tell us what we're doing is wrong. Because if Allah wanted, we would have never have done this. Allah wanted us to do this. That's why we're doing it. Now this is an excuse for someone who wants to do whatever he wants to. And he blames Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his crime. That Allah wanted me to do this. He decreed this for me. It's written in my decree that I was going to do this. Don't you believe in qadr? Similarly, people say, this wrong I committed. Why? Because Allah wanted me to do it. But what do we learn? That it's not necessary that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows something to happen, He likes it. There is a difference between His mashi'ah, what He likes, what He wants, and between what He allows. There is a difference. It's not necessary that everything that Allah allows to happen is something that He definitely likes. He has given us freedom. He has allowed us to do whatever we want. And later, He will hold us accountable. And at the same time, He has also instructed us as to what He likes and what He does not like. So we cannot say that just because I'm doing it, that means Allah likes it. And unfortunately, so many Muslims use this excuse today as well. If they can't do their lesson, maybe Allah doesn't want me to. Maybe Allah doesn't want me to do this course. Maybe it's just like that. Maybe it wasn't meant to be. Did you try hard enough? If you wanted to go shopping, definitely Allah wanted that. Why is it when it comes to lesson, Allah doesn't want it? This is an excuse that the mushrikeen came up with. And it's a false excuse. It's a false excuse. Allah has allowed you to do whatever you want, but He has also told you about what He wants, about what He likes. So with your freedom, do what He likes. Allah says, كَذَلِكَ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. The same excuse. In the same way, the people before them also denied, saying the same thing. That Allah wanted us to worship idols, Allah wanted us to do this, that's why we're doing it. It's not possible that everybody is wrong. Allah wants us to do it. Allah says, previous people did the same thing, and they said the same thing. حَتَّى ذَاقُوا بَأْسَنَا. Until they tasted our punishment. So what does it show? That if Allah punished them, then He did not like their actions. If Allah has said that for a particular action, if you do it, there is punishment in the hereafter, what does it mean? He does not like that action. He will allow you to do it. He will not freeze your hand. He will not freeze your feet. He will not paralyze you. He will give you authority. He will give you freedom. But in the hereafter, later, He will hold you accountable. And the fact that He will hold you accountable shows that He does not like this action. قُلْ, say, هَلْ عِنْدَكُمْ مِنْ عِلْمٍ. Do you have any knowledge? فَتُخْرِجُوهُ لَنَا. Then bring it forth for us. Meaning, do you have any knowledge about the fact that Allah is really happy with this? Allah is pleased with this deed of yours, of doing shirk and making halal haram? تُخْرِجُوهُ لَنَا. Bring it forth for us. إِن تَتَّبِعُونَ إِلَّا الظَّنَّ. You're only following assumption. You're not following based on knowledge. You're following what? ظَنَّ. وَإِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا تَخْرُصُونَ. And you're not except guessing. This is just a guess of yours, that if Allah allowed you to do this, He likes it. So we see that many people use Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will as a justification for their false practices, for their wrongdoing. But this ayah, it denies this, it refutes this excuse, this justification, by saying that the previous unbelievers, they also did the same wrong actions, yet Allah punished them. So if Allah punished them, this is a proof that He never liked their action. He never liked their action. So if there is an action for which there is a threat of punishment, you may have the freedom to do it, but know that Allah does not like it. And many people, they consider something to be right or wrong. Why? Because the majority is doing it. They said the same thing. That we would not have done shirk and our forefathers would not have done shirk. The fact that our forefathers did it, the fact that the whole community is doing it, therefore it is right. Similar excuses we present as well today. And we say that because everybody is doing it, it's okay. But the fact is that majority is not authority. Majority is not authority. And most people are not rightly guided. And sometimes shaitan puts these ideas in a person's mind. If you look at it, it looks like such a strong argument. But who does it come from? Shaitan. People say things like, if Christians are not upon the true deen, then why are they so successful? How come most of the people today are Christian? If this person is not wrong, then how come he's so rich? How come he's so wealthy? There is something known as respite, which Allah gives to His servants when they're doing something wrong. That He does not hold them accountable immediately. Why? Because He is Zu Rahmatin Wasi'ah. It's out of His mercy that He gives time to people. And He has given them the freedom so that they can have time to repent later. But remember that the punishment is not averted from those who do wrong. قُلْ فَلِلَّهِ الْحُجَّةُ الْبَالِغَةُ. Say, with Allah is the far-reaching argument. Al-Hujjah, from the root letters, Ha, Jim, Jim. And what is Hujjah? An argument that is muhkam, that is solid. A solid evidence, a solid proof that cannot be defeated, that cannot be refuted in any way. Allah has the argument, the evidence that is al-baligha. What does baligha mean? One that reaches, one that is mature, one that reaches its completion. So, compared to the evidence or the argument that these people have presented, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given an argument which is real. It works. How? That it defeats their justification. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that is Hujjatul Baligha. And whatever people come up with, it's not Hujjatul Baligha. فَلَوْ شَاءَ. So if He willed, لَهَدَاكُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. He would have guided all of you together. Meaning He would have forced all of you to be guided. But this is not the way of Allah. He has given freedom. So what do we learn from this ayah? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a perfect proof, has a solid proof established against His servants. And people can come up with many justifications, but they're all baseless. So never be impressed, never be baffled. Because sometimes people say such things to us and we're like, I don't have an answer to that. And then we begin to lose faith. Then we begin to have doubts. But the fact is that Allah has hujjatul baligha. These people are coming in a way that is very mischievous and you don't really see the reality. But the fact is that what they're saying is incorrect. It has no solid evidence. Qul, say, halumma shuhada'akum. Bring forward your witnesses. Halumma is an ism fi'l. Halumma is an ism fi'l. Basically, it's an amr, it's a command, it's an imperative. And an amr is what? An amr is a fi'l or an ism? Fi'l. The three types of fi'l, what are they? Madi, mudari, and amr. Three types of fi'l. Madi, mudari, and amr. What is madi? Past tense. What is mudari? Present and future. An amr, command, imperative. So an amr is a type of fi'l. But remember that every fi'l, it has a sign of fi'l. It's on the structure of a fi'l. But you see over here, halumma, it doesn't look like a fi'l from anywhere. Does it have an alif at the beginning? If you have, for instance, ukhruj, it's a fi'l. It's an amr. But it begins with an alif. And there's a sukoon at the end. Ukhruj, if'al, i'ti. But this one doesn't have any sign of a fi'l. So, halumma is actually a noun, but it's a noun of a fi'l. It's a noun of a fi'l. And this word gives a sense of come. It gives the meaning of bring. Come on. And halumma is used for singular, dual, as well as plural, masculine, feminine. It's a generic word. It can be used in any context. So, qul halumma, meaning bring, shuhada'akum, your witnesses, who can testify that Allah has forbidden such and such foods. الَّذِينَ يَشْهَدُونَ, who can bear witness, أَنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ هَذَا, that Allah has forbidden this. Forbidden what? What you have forbidden. The female, or the male, or the child, or the one that has given birth so many times, or the one that has these many children, or the grandmother, or the granddaughter, whatever. So, أَنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ هَذَا. Bring your witnesses who can show that Allah has certainly forbidden these animals. فَإِن شَهِدُوا, if they bear witness, فَلَا تَشْهَدْ مَعَهُمْ, then you do not testify along with them. Because they're such great liars. If they can attribute a partner to Allah, they can say that yes, Allah said that this is haram without any evidence. And if they do so, know that they're lying. So you don't bear witness along with them. وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَ الَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا, and don't follow the desires of those people who deny our ayat. Because remember that a person who denies the ayat of Allah, in fact, what is he doing? He's following his desires. Because if he followed dalil, if he followed evidence, then the greatest evidence is what? Allah's ayat. If he is denying them, what is he following? His desires. So don't follow their ways. وَالَّذِينَ, and those people, لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ, who don't believe in the hereafter. Don't follow these people, who don't fear accountability, who don't fear the coming of the Day of Judgment. وَهُمْ بِرَبِّهِمْ يَعْدِلُونَ, and who, with their Lord, they equate partners. Remember the meaning of يَعْدِلُونَ? We learned it at the beginning of Surah Al-Anam. It's from udul. And what does udul mean? To deviate. So those people who deviate away from their Lord. Or يَعْدِلُونَ is from adl, which is equal, equivalent. Those people who set equals with your Lord, don't follow them. Don't follow them. Because those people who can go to such an extent, lying about Allah, denying the hereafter, setting partners with Allah, they can go to any extent. They can go to any limit. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاصْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. When you don't have haya left, then do whatever you want. So if a person does not have haya of Allah, then he will not stop at any limit. So these people, they will not stop at any limit. Don't follow their desires at all. Now why is this being mentioned over here? Wasn't it clear to the Prophet ﷺ that he wasn't supposed to follow them? It was very clear. But why is this being emphasized? Because when you see that you're the only one eating halal, you're the only one who is going to such great lengths to find the halal, then you wonder, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. When you see haram so common, You're like, it's definitely not unhealthy. That's what we think. It's not unhealthy, otherwise these people would be dead by now. But they're eating dead meat, they're eating pork, they're eating, all sorts of haram food. Nothing is happening to them. I'm going through so much difficulty. There's nothing wrong in what they're eating. What does Allah say? That no. What is wrong is wrong. What is haram is haram. And what is halal is halal. Keep it as it is. Don't be influenced by people. Because they're not following evidence. They're just following their desires. Anything they like, anything they want to eat, they eat it. They don't stop at any lengths. And you are a believer. Everything that you put in your mouth is what Allah has allowed for you to put in your mouth. Just as everything that you say should also be what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes for you to say. A believer is a conscious person. He lives his life according to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we learn from this ayah that a person who does not accept evidence, because so much evidence has been presented to the mushrikeen, but still they're denying. So a person who does not accept solid evidence, then in reality, what is he trying to do? What is he doing? He's following his desires. He's following his desires. When it comes to Allah's obedience and worshipping Him, he presents excuses. So we have to check ourselves that when evidence comes before us, what is our behavior? Do we present excuses? Do we present justifications? Or do we follow the evidence? This is something that we need to check in ourselves. Because if we are presenting excuses, then we're only following our desires. And that is something that Allah does not like. Recitation of these ayat. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.